I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. As we take a look at the surface analysis right now, one cold front is through a large chunk of the Corn Belt, trying to pass through parts of Ohio. A secondary cold front is through most of Minnesota, knocking on the door of Wisconsin, Iowa, and Illinois. That's the front that's holding back the coldest part of the upcoming air mass. We're also looking at high pressure diving in over the western plains. It came out of Montana over the weekend and actually settled in over portions of western Kansas and western Oklahoma last night. That's key. I'm mentioning that because you know what? That high settled in farther west than I anticipated when I was looking at the forecast scenario late last week. And as such, we saw some very cold air in over parts of western Kansas. Southwest Kansas saw a place called Lakin hit 26 degrees last night, so some cold air in over parts of the hard red winter wheat belt. I thought the coldest air would actually be about 300 miles farther to the east. I thought it would spare a good chunk of the hard red winter wheat belt. So that's something to contend with. The cool air is going to push in across most of the Corn Belt in the days ahead as well. I'm looking at Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as being very cool. 10, 15 degrees below normal for this time of year. Overnight lows are going to be flirting with the freezing mark easily all the way down to the I-80 corridor. And you know what? It's not going to be excessively warm south of there either. Temperatures below normal will probably hit their peak over the next 3 days, but we don't see a big moderating push in temperatures through the end of the month. And actually, I'm looking for us to stay below normal, probably a good 5 to 10 degrees at least below normal, right on through the end of the month and probably through the first 5 to 7 days of May as well. Now, as we see this cooler air push in, I guess I'm not overly optimistic for precipitation, especially the rest of this week. Once this cold air moves in, we're probably going to be seeing sunshine for tomorrow through Friday. Going to be watching as an area of low pressure comes out of the central plains to finish the week and into the weekend. Right now, models are still disagreeing with my thought process. Models are saying the low comes into central parts of Missouri and then curves back to the southeast, going into the Ohio River Valley. I think it continues on northeast and becomes a bigger factor for all of the Corn Belt. The way we got to look at it is this. If I'm right, then we're probably looking at 70% of the Corn Belt picking up a half to 1 inch of rain this weekend. If the models are right and I'm out in left field, then we're still going to be seeing the same rain totals, half an inch, maybe an inch tops, but it's going to be basically the western half of Iowa through Missouri and then down into extreme southern Illinois and the Ohio River Valley on through the south and east coast. So it's just a track difference. It's not a precipitation difference. It basically comes down to who gets it and who doesn't. The models are saying cold air is going to be too formidable and it's going to steer the low away. I think if the low is as strong as it's being shown right now, it's going to blast the cold air out of the way, make its own path, and then we'll see more cold air come in behind. Just my thought process. Now, as we go forward, then next week we see a little bit more action around little bits and pieces. Showers and thunderstorms here, there. Doesn't have a huge coverage area across the Corn Belt, but we'll keep showers top of mind. The next big system that I'm watching still holds in for the 2nd and 3rd of May. Now, we had been talking about well below normal temperatures, equal with what we're going to see the next few days, late next week, the 28th through the 30th. Right now, I guess I'm not as prone to jump on that bandwagon. It's going to be chilly. We've already covered that. But I think that this week is going to take the cake in terms of the coldest air. Next week, while cool, probably will not equal what we're seeing right here. Still plenty of time for that to change, but that's the way my thought process is drifting right now. Huge system in the Great Lakes around the 5th. Right now, models say that stays north. Honestly, I'll say at this point, that's at day 16, so nobody cares. There's plenty of time for that to change, and honestly, with the model that is being shown on it, could even go away and nobody would bat an eye. But still, it lends itself to the thought of maybe an active precipitation pattern into early May. As we look upstream, though, as we get around that May 4th, 5th time frame, looking back over the western United States up into western Canada, not seeing a lot of frontal boundaries come together there. It could lend itself to a drier forecast pattern as we head toward May 10th, and we all know that is an important day with regard to planting. Other areas to pay attention to, good rains in Australia, but they're backing off now. Should give us a couple of nice windows for planting of winter wheat in Australia's wheat belt. We covered that this morning online. If you want to know more about that, check out allendale-inc.com and go to the weather blogs. Also, China looking drier now. For a while, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we were concerned about heavy rains there. Everything has passed, and now we're in a fairly dry forecast period, even for the southern part of the Corn Belt. Now, as they ramp up and start thinking about planting as well, we're going to be wanting to see some kind of rain come into the forecast pattern to know that once the crop gets in the ground, it has at least a good start underway. Temperatures in China are flipping to above normal levels over the next week and a half. That's the way things are stacking up at midday. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.